Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Harry Azeez, and this is my grecochess YouTube channel. And I'm back now after a few days of absence. In the meantime, I participated in the Chessanity tournament, and in future videos, in the next videos, I'm going to show to you what exactly happened there. In fact, what happened to my games. But today we are continuing a series playing against the chess.com bots. We're now in the intermediate bots. We eliminated all 15 beginner bots, and it's the fourth intermediate bot we are going to play against now. Let me share my screen. And the bot is called Azeez. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And it's from Nigeria. Azeez's rating is 1100, the highest rated bot we have ever faced or facing now. And the rules are the same. I win, I continue, which means if I have white, I'll face it with black. If I have black, I advance to the next bot. There's a draw. If there's a draw, then I face the same bot, same colors again and again until someone wins. And the moment I lose, the series is over. Every bot I face it twice, once with white colors and once with black. And starting with Azeez with the white color. I have the white colors, Azeez has the black, and Azeez is telling me, Sanu, I believe it's hello in the local language. I've prepared some special moves for you. Okay, let's see how special are your moves. I'm starting with white. I can play a lot of weird openings after e4. Not a very good idea because you're supposed to develop towards the center. I'm occupying both central squares. Fianchetto, your bishop goes to g7 and attacks my pawn at d4 but protected by my queen, while your pawn at g5 is unprotected. So I get an extra pawn. But is there a catch there? You're threatening my pawn on e4. I'm going to push it to e5 and blocking your bishop. Okay, now you move your pawn to c6. I'm moving my knight to f3. Queen goes to b6, threatens two of my pawns. d4 is protected twice. The b2 is not protected, and it's better if I protect it. How? I don't like a queen, a whole queen to protect just one tiny pawn. I'm going to push my pawn to b3. Knight goes to d7 from Aziz. Let me to what? I'm going to um, develop my knight goes, actually my bishop goes to e2. Why to e2 and not anywhere else? It could go perhaps to d3, but to d3 it would mean that my pawn on d4 is protected only once from my knight, not my queen. And as this places his bishop back to f8, not a good idea. Back and forth the same piece in the opening. And I don't even see why, because I was not really threatening the pawn at e7. Bishop attacks it, but defended at least twice by king and knight. Now to defend a third time, not sure how much it helps. My knight goes to c3. Let's have my knight defended. Bishop goes to h6. I'm going to exchange now my pawn ahead, and also your knight at h6 doesn't have too much of a future. Queen now goes to d2 and attacks the knight at h6. Your knight goes to f5. What can I do? I want to go now. Is there anything in danger? Before I do anything, yes, my pawn at d4. I need to be careful because now it's attacked twice and defended twice. What if I wanted to put my queen at g5, threaten the knight, but the knight would take my pawn, and later go to g7 to threaten the rook. The rook can survive, but I don't want to lose material. In the meantime, I've lost at least a pawn. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to threaten your queen at b6. Okay, it escaped here, so now really I can attack your knight at f5. My queen goes to g5. You defend with your pawn. So my queen cannot go to g7 to attack your rook. It cannot go to either f6 or h6. But what should I do now? I'm going to attack your knight, and if you allow me, exchange it so my queen can go to g7. Be very near your king on the 7th rank. You want to exchange queens? Should they allow it? I'm not sure, because if I do it, then I cannot place my queen to g7. That's what I wanted to do, and threaten your rook at h8. What I'm going to do is temporarily save my queen to h5. Let's hope no disaster. Yes, your knight can threaten g7, and I'm going to move my queen again. Let's exchange now. And I win a pawn. Good. But I have to be careful. What if the knight leaves d7? Fortunately not, because then the queen is exposed, and I don't want to suffer like what happened in another game. What should I do now? Nash takes a pawn. I don't see how I can threaten your knight at h8. Material-wise, I have 2 extra pawns for now, so let's attempt an exchange. If you exchange, great. You don't, will attack your rook. Yes, we exchange. I'm 2 pawns ahead. Should I take the pawn or put my knight on e6? If I put it, I threaten a fork on c7. Saw it. What I want to do now, I want to take an extra pawn. Yes, and you didn't get it back. What would happen if I check, but then where would my knight go? If I check you, you take the pawn and then. I don't see the and then. Let's continue. I'm going to bring my rook into the game. You are attacking my knight on e6. Your bishop suddenly attacks it. And what will happen if I check you? Your king will go one of these 2 squares, and then my knight has nowhere to go. So my knight goes back to f4. Oh no. How about I defend it with my rook? Yep, that's what I want. So I'm going to win either the pawn on c6, which I'm going to win, or the knight on f6, which you covered. So I'm winning your pawn, and I'm 3 pawns ahead. Can I win another pawn? I'm going to check you now, and unless you move your rook to d7, I'm going to win the pawn at a7. Yes, so you want to exchange, and I want to exchange because I'm ahead. 3 pawns. Let's attack the pawn at d5. No, I don't want to lose a pawn. You are threatening my pawn on g2. You're saving your other pawn. What should I do? Put my rook on the open. No, what you want to do is put your knight on g4 and then attack 2 of my pawns, which I don't want to let you do. Pawn goes to f3 to stop your knight from coming near. Look at this pawn, but it's defended by your knight. Let's occupy the open file, the e file. Rook goes to e5, attacks 2 pawns, but both are defended by your knight. Now we're doing well because I attack your pawn at d5 twice, defend only once. Let's see, will you? Yep, I got your knight. Now I'm 4 pawns ahead. I'm also attacking the h5 pawn. I can take it, and the knight goes here, and then I don't know what kind of future it has. Okay, let's take the pawn on h5. I was starting perhaps to go for an exchange, but let's see what can you rook do. I defend this pawn. What can I do? What I would like now? Let's save the a pawn so you can knock or not link by going to a1. Let's try to take the remaining pawns as many as we can. Yes, I'm going to lose my h pawn, but I'm going to win your b pawn. Yes, I'm taking the check. Also take the other pawn. You can take a couple of pawns on the king side, but yes, now I have 6 extra pawns. You might be able to take one of them, but that's it. Check you with my rook. Advance my pawns as much as possible and make sure I don't lose my rook by any chance. Continue pushing the pawn, especially the c, because you cannot go to c2. Defend it. Try to push my pawns. I have 6 extra pawns as much as possible. There's so many. Oh, we're going to exchange rooks. Now I want the game. Because so long as I get the rook, there was a possibility I could blunder the rook, either give it unprinted call, meaning for free, or give it a chance with an extra to win my rook, or who knows what combination, but now that cannot happen. That now I'm just pushing my pawns. I don't even need the king to help. 6 extra pawns. Advance all of them together. It will be very difficult for you to take. I'm not sure how many of them, if any, you can take. And Azeez is silent, no comments from him. Soon one of the pawns will promote. I think next move, the G pawn will promote, no matter what you do. Yep. Any stalemate? Nope. You have one legal move. That's okay. You may have another queen. Yeah, I can have another queen, but how about you, Aziz? Let's get the second queen. But let's be very careful, no stalemate, because my pawns block many of your squares. And I think, is this mate or not? Yes. Whoa, you saw through my plan. What plan, Aziz? I didn't see you had any plan. Can I have another chance? Of course. Now, but before that, we're going to review the game. See how did we do. Then you'll have white, I'll have black. Had 90.1%, Aziz had 82.8, and I played for 2,000. I personally feel it's too flattering, but okay, if the computer wants to give me 2,000 rating, why not? And Aziz had 1650. That's quite high, much higher than your 1,100 rating that you supposedly get. None of us had brilliant or great. Best 34 versus 22. Excellent. 16 versus 23. For me, good. 6 versus 7. Book moves. Only my opening move was a book. And let's go to the negative category. Aziz had the 5 versus 4 inaccuracies. 2 mistakes versus none of me. And none of us had any miss or blunder. So as you see, Aziz's Mars Novera was very small. And I just happened to be able to play without any major blunders. I believe if I had even one blunder, I would not have won the game. But let's give a look now, move by move. Yes, this is the only book opening. No, that's not a book opening. It's unsound move, as I had mentioned before. Yes, another best move for me, occupy the center. Ah, yes, okay, you do your fianchetto, consistent, but not the best. I take it, although the computer would rather have me develop my knight. Strike for the center. Oh, inaccuracy, the computer doesn't like it. Says I should have taken the pawn. Yes, but then the queen goes to d5. That's why I did not take the pawn. And then it attacks twice my pawn at d4. Yes, can defend it, but I don't want to be in a defensive situation. I want to block your bishop. Computer says I do not have a clear win, but my position remains superior. Perhaps. In accuracy, so my position becomes even better. The pawn should have gone to c5. Develop my knight, although the computer would rather have me develop the other knight. Good move for Azeez. The computer would rather have me sacrifice my pawn and push my bishop to d3. What would happen then is, if I sacrifice the pawn, Azeez takes the b2 pawn, knight goes to d2, and then the rook is protected. But I don't want to give chances to Azeez by giving free pawns, even if overall I might be doing better. The computer would rather have my bishop go to d3. As I mentioned before, the reason I did not do it is because I wanted my pawn on d4 to be protected twice and not on just once, even though it's attacked only once for now. That is a mistake, of course. Bishop goes back. My advantage becomes 3.5 already. No reason to do it. Develop my knight. It's supposed to be the best. Imagine if that is the best move for Azeez. He's down 3.1. The exchange with the computer decreases a little bit my advantage from 3.1 to 2.8. But when you're ahead, it's good if you exchange material. Okay. Now I'm playing the best moves. Not a good idea. Inaccuracy. I was hoping to attack the knight, and if the knight moves to go to g7, computer wants me to castle. Inaccuracy for Azeez as well. Just a good move, the bishop here. Queen was exchanged, and yes, so the move I played was the best. Avoid exchange, queen goes to h5. And now I win an extra pawn. My advantage becomes larger, 2.8 until now. Now that I'm ahead by 2 pawns, why not exchange? Yes. 2.9 is my advantage. I threaten the fork, but Azeez saw my idea. Azeez takes a pawn for free. I don't think there was a way to save it. I'm still 3.2 ahead, but I need to be careful because suddenly the bishop from c8 is attacking my knight on e6 without the bishop moving, just because the knight that was blocking it was moved. Yes, the best move, defending with my rook. Check and takes a pawn. Advantage becomes 3.9 already. Here, yes, I basically forcing Azeez either to exchange rooks or otherwise I win the a7 pawn. We exchange rooks. Attack the pawn on d5. Defend my g2 pawn. Very good choice, not the best. I wanted to avoid the knight going to g4 and threatening two of my pawns. And most likely winning one of them. Now the rook goes to d5. Threatens. Now, yes, I can take the pawn on d5. And after winning, I'm ahead by 5.3. Win another pawn. Save my f3 pawn by moving to f4. Go for the b6 pawn. Sacrifice my h2. I'm fine with that. Win the other pawn. And now I have rook and 6 pawns versus rook. How big is my advantage? 6.1. While my moves are not always the very best, they're near the top, sufficient to win. This was one of the best. And The computer says excellent, but basically this is surrender because once we exchange the rooks, black's position is hopeless. With the rook, who knows? I might accidentally leave my rook on breeze, or I might allow for what's called an X-ray, meaning my rook, my king are on one line, and Azeez checks from the other side and wins my rook. Very remote possibilities, but they do exist. But after the exchange of the rooks, see, now I have mate in 13 moves. Now we're not talking about the plus, we're talking about M. M means mating. Mating in 13 moves at most if I play correctly. Let's see how this goes. Not the best, that's why I'm down to 8.5. Mating 10, mating 11, 8.3 again. Mating 6 now, 17. See the number going up and down, 16 moves, 6 moves, 5, 4, 3 moves, 2, 1 move, and that's it. And checkmate. And so we beat Azeez with the white colors, and we're going to face Azeez with the black colors. Let's see if we can win again. As you may see, Azeez is the fourth out of the intermediate. We have already defeated Maria from Mexico, Maxim from the Czech Republic, and Hans from Greenland. Now it is time for Azeez, with Azeez having the white and me the black. You prepared some special moves for me, Azeez, but I don't think this is a very nice move. You should develop towards the center. Just randomly move pawns. If I move my e-pawn and Azeez doesn't realize, I might even check next move, but let's not play hope chess. Let's win the pawn that is available. Here we go. Yes, here you go. And let's see if we can mate. I don't think we can mate because Azeez made the f1 pawn available, but at least, yes, what happened is Azeez cannot castle any longer. We're going now for the other pawn at f4. Let's see if we can win it. Yep, second pawn in a row we are winning. Let's see how is Azeez going to defend. Let's exchange now. We are ahead. His king is in a very bad shape. Let's see if Azeez will allow us. The bishop at f3 is pinned, cannot move. Let's see if Azeez will allow us to check from h4. Now, my queen is threatened. If I do the check, of course, Azeez cannot take my queen. He has to defend the king. No, I almost blundered because that is not a check. I need to defend my queen. How? Let's try to exchange queens. I'm ahead by 2 pawns already. And if you don't want to exchange, yes, to exchange. Capturing a queen is fine feeling. Well, if you capture the queen for 3 years, but in this case, I was ahead in material, and now I'm 2 pawns ahead without queens. Let's see what we can do now. They want to continue developing my pieces. Nice to win 2 pawns. Nice to deprive. That's nice. Azeez from hustling, and I'm going to take a third pawn. They want to b2. This doesn't look good for me, but I'm just happy to be playing. If that's all you want, you'll be very happy, Azeez. Let's develop my knight to c6. What else can we do? Let's attack your bishop. Question is, should I take it or not? I'm ahead. Let's take it. I'm ahead by 3 pawns. Of course, this opens a line for the rook. That's why I was hesitating. I'm going to close it now. No, there is a danger. If rook goes to b4, there is a double threat. So I'm going to stop your ideas of double threats by my bishop going to e5. What can I do? My rook is stuck at h8, defending the pawn. I don't like this. I want to have my active. That's why I'm moving it. Let's exchange bishops. Nice. I'm ahead in material. Why not exchange? What can I do now? I can threaten the rook, but the rook has many squares to go. Yes, I can also try to threaten the pawn, but again, you want to take my pawn. How can I defend? If I push the pawn, we exchange pawns, which I like, but I'd better be careful. Don't want you to come too near my king. Knight attacks the pawn on g4. If your rook goes away from the g line, and that's what I'm trying to do now, then I get the pawn at g4 for free. Let's see where can your rook go once I attack it once again. Not the best move, of course, but it can go maybe to f4, but you didn't want to do it here. At least it would threaten my pawn at f7. I'm going to grab the pawn, 4 pawns ahead, and I'm going to attack to threaten the fork, but you don't let me. If I check here, king goes here, and then I'm not sure what else can we do. I'm going to defend my knight. Now, yes, now there's a very good fork. Take your rook. Because simultaneously my rook from e3 was attacking the king on d1 and the rook on g2. So you move your king and I got your rook. I save my knight. My advantage now, material advantage is quite large. Let's also activate my rook from h8. Send it to g8 and threaten a check that will grab your knight if you do nothing. Not sure what can my rook do. So I'm going to push my rook on to g2 and threaten the pawn at e2. I cannot do it any longer because then you have to take, but look what I can do. I'm taking the pawn on d3 with a check. If you take my knight, then I take your rook. You didn't, but at least I got a pawn. And I'm taking now the other pawn on e2. Yep, and not only that, I'm going now to win your rook. Good. Now my advantage is really great. The king is constrained on the first line. All I need now is just to push a pawn to promote. And even if I accidentally lose the other rook, I'm still winning. One more move for mate, unless you put your king, or you put your king on b1. I want to put my rook somewhere where the knight cannot attack it. And I think the best square is e2. Your knight can go back and block the check I'm going to do now, but that's all I can do with my queen, with my new queen. That's okay, you may have another queen. That's what you said in the other game, and look what happened. And now I'm going to threaten mate with my knight. My knight will go to d3. The knight on c1 cannot move because it's pinned. And no matter what you do now, Azeez, my queen will go to c1 and checkmate. Exactly. So we won the second game as well, quite easily, I would say. And let's give a look at the review. What does the computer think about this game? You see that most of the game I was ahead twice. Aziz almost made the comeback. I had 88.7 accuracy versus 82.8. Again, I played for 2000. Again, Aziz played for 1600. So this shows that these bots, even if technically they are rated just above 1000 or 1100 in this case, they can play better than that. And I have to have a game of 2000, which is well above my real rating of 1560 or 1563, to be able to catch up. None of us could brilliant or great. Best 27 for me versus 15. Excellent. 9 for me, 15 for Aziz. Good 4 for me, 6 for Aziz. And book moves, the first two of Aziz and my first were book moves. It means that I deviated from the book first. Let's see now the negative category. Aziz had two inaccuracies, two mistakes versus one of me. I missed once and none of us blundered, which shows that, as I believe, at that level, if I make any real blunder, it may not be forgiven. But let's go again and look move by move what happened. G4, yes, it is a book move. And look what the computer says. Yes, it's a book move, but it's a bad move, which is meant to be a shock for black, but is easily refuted with solid play. Was my play solid? Let's give a look. Yes. It's a book move. Now I'm already 1.2 ahead, just from the first move. You see the 1.2 that I'm ahead of Aziz. Another book move. And this already gives me 2.7 advantage already from move number 2. Yes, and this, although not a book move, it was the best. So I'm ahead by 2.7. And we're already talking about just the first two moves out of a total of 43. I'm already 3.2 with Aziz not playing accurately. I'm threatening checkmate, but Aziz stops it. I'm checking. Excellent move, not the best. The best would be to develop the bishop. And we need another pawn. Exchange, yes, the best move. Okay, but not the best. Yep, I want to exchange queens. Good on the computer, although the computer would rather have me do what? Put my queen back to f6. So I exchange, a logical capture. I'm ahead by 2.7, a little bit less than before. Not the best, but not a bad either. Computer wants me to develop my knight, but I want to control the long diagonal. I want another pawn. Not a good move, a mistake. Why? The computer would rather, I see where is the mistake, would rather have when bishop go back. Now, Aziz might be able to have a double attack if it was possible to put the rook at before it can attack both the bishop b2 and the pawn b7. That cannot be done because my knight controls the square. And that I missed. If the pawn had gone to c3 instead of the move that Aziz actually played, then my bishop would be trapped. And then rook would go to a2 and grab it. That is, but since Aziz failed to do it, that's why Aziz's advantage jumped from 1.1 to, no, my advantage, while Aziz had already minimized to 1.1, jumped from 1.1 to 3.9. Not the best move. Yes, I could move the pawn to threaten the bishop, but it's not good to just move your pawn just for a one move threat, because then the pawn at e6 would be backwards and very vulnerable, as they call it. Yes, a trade down material, exactly. My advantage becomes 3.7. Bishop finally, yeah, is out of danger. Let's see. You stop your opponent from being able to win a bishop by eventually trapping a piece. Exactly. I hadn't seen the trap. I hadn't seen the move from c2 to c3 of the pawn, but I had seen that my bishop is not very safe there, being alone. Fine move, yes. Another exchange, and now my advantage is 4.1. I try to rook. I defend. Rook is knight at the center. And now this is a way to min material. Yes, I'm trying to make the rook leave the fourth rank, where it's defending the opponent g4. Now I can take it. My advantage is already 4.8, as you see. Get the best move. Don't move the knight, because then I lose the pawn at g7. Instead, I'm just defending the knight, and there is no pawn on either f or h file to attack my knight. And let's see here, my advantage becomes 6.3. This move is dropping a rook, though it doesn't change the losing position. If you lost before, you lost now, but now you have one less rook. That rook was used for the taking, 6.3 advantage. Save the knight. And now what we'll try to do, yes, first of all, occupy the seventh rank, at least not completely, because white has some pieces to stop it. But I'm occupying at least half the seventh rank and threatening the pawn at d2. And Azeez will save the pawn on e2, but will lose the pawn on d3. That's the best move, because if you take back my knight, I take rook. You didn't do that. Instead, you allow me to win a pawn. Excellent. Aziz could see that his pawn on e2 is in a danger, and then the rook on a2 could be lost. Instead, just push the pawn where it has no future. I mean, if at least it was a passed pawn, perhaps that would make some sense, near promotion, but not now. You know exactly when the rook. I'm ahead by 7.7, and I'm just pushing the pawns. 7.9, 8.3 my advantage. And now mating three moves, I'm m3. m2, again m2. What should I have done to make it? Ah, yes, had I taken the knight with my knight, then the mate would have come one move earlier. m1, and finally the mate. And this concludes my game with, or my two games with Aziz. I defeated this bot as well. And let's see who is next online. It is another bot with 1100. Its name is Laura, and Laura is from Austria. This concludes today's video, defeating Aziz twice, both with white and with black. Next spot is Laura, but before Laura, I'm going to create 3 videos about my participation in the 80th Chessanity tournament that took place in Syosset, Long Island. What happened in these 3 games? Did it do well? Did it do bad? Did they gain rating? Did they lose rating? We are going to find out in the next videos. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Harry Azeez. This is Greco Chess. Goodbye.